Hey guys, I've got this Torque CNC from company Torque CNC in Sanford, Orlando. This is a 4x8 machine with 3 internal vacuum pumps down underneath here in the carriage. And this particular model has a 12 horsepower spindle and a 8 tool changer, automatic tool changer, and also a lineal rack. So I got up to 16 tools in this machine. This machine runs a Mach 4 control, Mach 4 industrial control, and I've had the machine for just a little bit over a week, and so far programming everything has been, show you a tool path here. So far everything has been pretty smooth. This is a part that we're making. And the first couple of programs that I ran, this is just a test piece here. I've got some 1/2-inch plywood on the table. This machine has a vacuum bed and pneumatic material stops. So I was having a problem initially. Pull this over here. So I have this this geometry I created here. It's a 4-inch square with a 2-inch square inside of it. And the problem that I was having was cutting these shapes out. I'm using a 3/8 inch router bit, and the output of the program showed the tool approaching the corner to a point and then leaving the corner straight out like you would expect for an offset inside corner tool path. But I'm not getting a tool radius. I'm getting like a 3/8 radius when I should get a 3/16 radius on a 3/8 compression bit. And forgive the material finish here, that wasn't the point of this. I was just using the 3/8 cutter that I had already measured into the system. So I was getting these oversized corners, even though, here's my numbers here, even though my program was set to a sharp inside corner and I should only see a tool radius. So in my troubleshooting process, I tried a different post processor. This is a Fanuc post processor. It's supposed to be running Mach 4. But it did some funky stuff with the tool changes that made me uncomfortable, so I went back to the default Mach 4 post processor. And then over here, I actually drew, so you can see what a good one looks like. Let me get the shadow right. I actually drew the corner radius into the square as a 3/16 corner radius, and then I ran the program again, and I got exactly what you would expect from that model. It cut exactly what it should have. And all of these I was running at like 300 or 400 inches a minute, which is fast. But I'm cutting full sheet big parts like that. I can't be running that at 50 inches a minute, and that's burning the tool anyway. So I'm running at the speed that I want to run, but I'm getting these bad results. So what I figured out in Mach 4, and I figured it was, and I got confirmation from the Vectric forum, this Mach 4 industrial post processor has what is called a, I gotta get out of this, hang on a second. Ops, close G code, and I think if I just end it, there we go. Mach 4 up here in the menu has this configure, control, and the culprit here is this motion mode, constant velocity or exact stop. So a constant velocity control is trying to keep 400 inches a minute going around this shape, but it's short, so it has to slow down into the corner and then accelerate out and slow down and accelerate out. That is affected by the constant velocity settings in the controller, in the Mach 4 control. So what I found, an exact stop, the difference between exact stop would go, I'm going to go from here to here, and it's looking ahead, and it's going to physically locate itself onto that point and then out of that point. This is the way it controls the machine. From what I understand, it can really slow down the programming, whereas constant velocity, it tries to keep it constant velocity, as that makes sense, as best it can by ramping in and out of the corners. So if I come back, there's a table in here under motors, and if you click on each motor that's listed over here, there's a table for how it's going to ramp up and what its ultimate velocity is, and then there's some acceleration values. All of this stuff I wouldn't recommend you mess with. what I found on this Mach 4 control is that there's a wizard. Select and MCCV distance tolerance. So that's your constant velocity distance tolerance. Hit OK, and it gives you this cool readout that explains to you exactly what the problem you're having is, and it's pretty apparent pretty quickly that that this is what setting you want to do. So read this message for yourself, but you hit next, and it's only affecting my X and Y axes. It says not to mess with any axes that aren't being affected. So I pick X and Y, and I hit next, and then this is where I found my fix. So this box defaults to 0.001 on my machine. I'm not sure if that's necessarily true for everything. I hit next, and I'm not going to do it because I've already done it, but it basically sets a tolerance for how tight the geometry, the CV distance tolerance, how tight that tolerance has to be. And if you read this thing, it says the tighter the tolerance, the slower the machine goes, but the more accurate it is. The larger the tolerance, the faster and smoother, the less accurate the tool pass. This was exactly my problem. Faster, look at this right here. The faster tool pass can, the faster the involved axis can accelerate, the faster the angle can be taken while maintaining a set tolerance. So it was going through the turns too fast. That was exactly my problem. So I did this, I hit next, I repopulated the table for the ramping and the CV values. So I ran these 3 squares over again. I'm sorry, after I changed that setting, I wrote this new program with these 6 squares. 200 inches a minute, 150, 150, and then over here to get crazy, I went back to 300 and 400. So if I look at 200, it's not bad, but that's not 3/16. This one is okay, but it's still bigger than 3/16. That one's 3/16, pretty good, and that one is 3/16 perfectly. So all the way down to 50 inches per minute, or maybe 100, somewhere between 100 and 50 inches a minute, I'm finally getting a true corner. So I had done this CV distance tolerance 0.001, and that's what I got. When I came to 300 inches a minute, look how big that thing got. It's like a 3/4 radius, and 400 inches a minute, they're even not the same from one corner to a next, even though they're all the same. So that obviously is my problem. That CV distance value tolerance 0.001 is too big. So I changed it to 0.0005. Look at this, 200, perfect. 150, still perfect. I mean, you would imagine that all those would stay perfect. Down here, 4 inches per minute, 400 inches per minute, 3/16 tolerance, perfect. CV tolerance wizard. Set the value to 0.005, and those radiuses mismatching the inside corners will be resolved. I cut this stringer piece out at 400 inches a minute, and that is exactly what I would expect to have, a 3/16 tool radius left in the inside of what otherwise would have been a sharp corner. So if anybody else is having a problem with your CNC profile mismatch, not getting accurate results, if you can afford and you're running a small enough tool, slow your speed rate down and the ramping won't be a problem. But if you're like me and you're cutting big full-size pieces out of big full sheets, and it would take you, you know, a minute to get 50 inches out of this piece, that's way too long. It doesn't need to take that long. Set that puppy to 400 inches a minute and let that bit scream, but you also got to have that CV tolerance turned down so it'll make these nice, sharp, crisp inside corners. All right, guys, thanks.